Thank you everyone that showed up. So we started with having the idea of doing this at our house. We live in a little manufactured home, and then people started to let me know we're coming, like we've got to get a bigger place. So this is exciting to see all of you here. It means a lot to us. So we're going to start with a prayer. Mr. James Billigodi is going to give us a prayer to start with. From Tuba City, he's been in 3 of our films, and so we're going to start with that. James. Yeah. So we've been thinking about doing this for a few weeks now, realizing we've been around for a few years, and so here we are. But I wanted to start with kind of why are we here? And a few things came to mind. One is it's our 14th anniversary as Holt Hamilton Productions, and one of the times of when you have an anniversary, it's a time to reflect and think about where we've been coming from, look at the past and kind of our history, and so I was thinking about that a lot the last few weeks, and we started our business down in Mesa, Arizona. And it was in a little one bedroom apartment, kind of there, central Mesa. And I remember having just a very, very tight space where we started. So come on in, front row. Thanks for coming. And so that was 14 years ago we started there. I have a little office. It actually happens to be a kind of a Home Depot type shed in our backyard. Thankfully there's a little power out there, and when it gets cold I have a little portable heater that doesn't do a very good job, and so we've taken a few steps forward, but we're still up and coming and trying to really get to where we want to be and need to be. And so it's fun to look back and realize like we have taken a few steps forward, but we still have quite a ways to go. This year we released our 5th Native American feature film, Legends from the Sky. Some of you are familiar with it. Hopefully everybody's heard of it at least. And so I wanted to show the trailer for that.
Gentlemen, I don't care what Geneva or the Pentagon or anyone else wants me to say or do. We are running this show from here on in.
I want to know everything about this kid. I mean, everything. I have to know all his weak points.
Where are you all from, exactly?
You native?
Yeah, Chickasaw. You?
I'm Navajo.
Why did you let him take it?
We had no choice. He wrote this for you a few days ago.
Those are his last words to you, son.
I know what it says.
Hello, Ms. Marshall. Stand up, please. Good, thank you.
Can you explain to me exactly how you saw him die?
You always find a way to bounce back, Lyle. You're strong like that.
Why are you lying? I saw him again, this time in his house.
The kid knows we have him.
I read your article. I want to know more about this.
They have another UFO. They know stuff, Lyle. And they gotta be stopped.
I want to go home, but I can't, because we have terrorists on our land.
I could see, like I was
looking out from his eyes. You should have never shown me the bracelet. It's much more complicated now.
I want you to find that symbol and place it in my hand. Tell me about the power.
You're to be the next seeker. You're to take your grandfather's place.
That's in the internet, huh?
Every superhero has a weakness. What is yours?
So with Legends, we're still learning how to make a film. We're still learning how to distribute a film. It's been hard with finding distribution, in the Hollywood system. Sometimes I think if we were still trying to find distribution for our first film, we would probably still be looking for how do we get Turquoise Rose out, and so we've kind of been doing that as well on the side with distribution. But with Legends, we to this date we've played in 33 theaters, and those are 1+ week runs, and so it's a total of about 64 weeks that our film's been on the big screen. We've competed with movies such as Avengers, SpongeBob, American Sniper was a big one, and that we were on a screen in the same building with, and so it's kind of fun playing on a similar playing field, but yeah, we still have a long ways to go. Also, in addition to the theaters, we've been with Legends, we've taken it to to 18 reservations and reserves so far all over U.S. and up into Canada. And looking back, big picture of all of our movies, we've personally taken the film to, I think, the count 63 reservations, or I guess more appropriately, sovereign nations within the United States and Canada. And so we're on the road. We've been on the road a lot, getting out into native country and meeting people and just having great experiences as we're taking the film around, finding new actors, new places to shoot our next films. So there is progress being made, and we have the hope that someday we can look back and have visited all 560 plus sovereign nations within the U.S. and have friends in all those places. So another reason that we want to have an anniversary is to reflect on the past, and also it's a time to look forward to the future. What else is there? What are we trying to do as in our case with Holt Hamilton Films, what are we trying to do? And right now we're still in the process of trying to build, trying to learn, trying to see how to get the next film up and running. How can we improve? How do we get better distribution? How do we just have a better all-around film? How do we, that entire thing is what we're going on, of trying to really tell a better story. And so our vision is that we'll get to the point where we're at a kind of, I guess dream is where we're making a film and distributing a film, one film a year. And so we'll kind of, right now it's been 2 or 3 years between the ones we've had, but to kind of streamline that process and get making more movies. There's so many stories, so many great stories that need to be told, that should be told, and Hollywood's not going right now, is not so much interested in making smaller, more region-specific films, but that's where we want to go and find those great stories that we can share with the world. My, I guess, personal vision or goal is kind of the magic number is 12 movies. And I figure once I get at that 12th film made is where I will be able to really look at, okay, now we know what we're doing. Now there's no excuses. We need to be doing the best we can at that point. And so kind of that point too is where I guess I can call myself a filmmaker with that 12th film. So number 6 is our next step. So almost halfway there. But another reason, and I think the most important reason about wanting to kind of have it open to invite people that I have lots of respect for and friendships with, and invite all of you here and also others that are watching this later on. We're going to be putting it online. Is to look back and really look at the relationships and people and communities and organizations that have helped us along the way, and realize that film is a very collaborative business. And I think the more I understand and the more I learn about the industry, the more I realize that it takes lots and lots of people. More and more that I realize I can't do everything, nor do I want to do everything, and you realize there's so many people that can be involved that can do such a better job, and that's the fun and a lot of the joy that I get out of it is the process of making film, relationships that are built, and so that's that collaboration, and that's the reason probably the most important reason of why we're here is really to look back and to thank people that have helped us. And so tonight we have four communities, individuals that were that we want to take the time to recognize. So the first one is Mr. Key Long. He is a Navajo film liaison with the Navajo Nation. Works in the Navajo Film Office, Navajo Nation Office Broadcast Services, I think is the official title of the organization. But I've worked with Mr. Key Long for years. I was in film school probably 10 to 12. I think it was 2001 when I met Key Long. I had a short film that I wanted to shoot on the Navajo Nation, and I wanted to, I had lots of friends out there, and some were, kind of pushing me along to, hey, let's go. You don't need to get a permit. Let's just go and make it. The Navajo Res is a big place. No one's gonna know if you made this, but I really wanted to. No, let's learn the structure. Let's learn how the tribe, set stuff up, so how we can go through. And so I really spent the time and the extra effort to build those relationships and figure out the right process to do that. And that's been, looking back, I'm so glad I did that, because there's been numerous times that Key Long and his office and staff have come through in big ways with legends. We used a couple of Navajo Ranger vehicles that Mr. Long was able to set up for us using actual outfits. I think, James, you were some of the weapons and different things. I think Mr. James Villigody that played one of the Navajo Rangers that was wearing those uniforms. And we had some of the Navajo Rangers right there on set that were helping with stuff. And so the tribe came through with a lot of different things things like that if we would have try to go sneak around stuff usually doesn't, in the long run isn't probably the best option. So just wanted, really with Key Long, it's been a great relationship that we have with the Navajo Nation Film Office, and so he was one of the first people specifically that came to mind. And he's not here tonight. A couple of days ago he had some other stuff that he came up. So this is one of the certificate that we wanted to give to him. So I'll read. It says, Holt Hamilton Films for a better world, in appreciation of your professionalism, vision, and continued support. And so I'm going to take this out my next trip to Window Rock and personally give this to Mr. Key Long. Second honoree, I guess you could say, is that we wanted to honor tonight is actually the Navajo Nation. I know the new president, but Gay was just meeting with Vice President, Biden. You should know. Biden. Well, let's rewind that. But I know he just was meeting with him a couple weeks ago, and like, oh, well, he's going to go there, and then he's going to come here. So, anyways, as you imagine, very, very busy. And so, but the Navajo Nation has been very supportive in all areas, and maybe it's the Navajo Nations, but it's the Navajo people, the friends that I've made, many here tonight, and stuff that have been very supportive. All 5 of our movies we've either shot the entire film on the Navajo Res or a good majority of it, and so that was the second, another certificate we had made was specifically for the Navajo Nation. And this too, I'll take this out in a few weeks when I head out there, but it says, in appreciation of your trust, support, and vision to independent filmmaking, Holt Hamilton Films honors the Navajo Nation. Just as something I think it's important to really give credit where due, and the Navajo Nation could have from day one said, no, you can't come out here, and we would have never made any of our films there. So that another important organization. We want to recognize another tribe. This was a community that I was able to meet with our More Than Fry Bread movie. This was a community that they brought our film. We went up there and showed the movie to the community, taught a film workshop. This was about 3 years ago, and while I was there, just, you can tell sometimes there's a community, they're very open like, yes, we want you to come back and make a film, and you can just tell there's some good opportunity for collaboration. And so, I was able to when I was there with the Fry Bread movie, I think we showed the film, and then the next morning I went with one of his name's TJ Green. He was he was on tribal council that time with another gentleman by the name of Glenn Ellison. They took me on a kind of a tour of the res, and so we went out and walking around, and this reservation happens to be on the coast, and so we're walking up high on these cliffs, and we're looking down across the ocean. We can see BC, or British Columbia on the other side of the ocean, and this way you can't see anything. And all of a sudden, they're talking about, hey, my brother's down there in a boat. His brother was, TJ's brother was down fishing, halibut fishing. They were having a birthday party that night, so they're out catching some fresh halibut for the birthday party. And so they said, well, do you want to go jump in the boat? I'm sure. And so they took off down the cliff, and I really I don't know how I'm supposed to get down here. But anyway, they kind of showed me the right path to go, and end up in a boat and end up all over the ocean. Went out to an island that has a big lighthouse, and just had a great experience. And so from all of that experience, a few years later, I'm working on Legends from the Sky. I'm thinking about those memories, and I'm thinking about and specifically writing the script around those places. And so then we approached tribal council, and TJ, that happened to be on tribal council, he was now the chairman of the Makah Nation, and so I was able to have a better relationship with TJ. And so I talked with him and went through tribal council and got approvals to shoot the film. There were some places that we had in the script that we wanted to, that the tribe said, no, these are very sacred places to us. No problem. And so we adjusted the script a little bit and shot in some other places. They recommended some other places that would work for some of the other scenes, and so changed and went and had a great experience out there. And so that's, we wanted to honor the Makah Nation as well. No one is here from the Makah Nation tonight, but definitely they were grateful for the award. And so it says, in appreciation of your vision, trust, and support to independent filmmaking, Holt Hamilton Films honors the Makah Nation. So, and the final honoree that we have to recognize is actually with us. So one of them showed up today, which is great. But this is one of our actors worked with on one film. The actor that's had the most experience and probably the most refined actor I've ever worked with. He started his career back in the 50s. One of his first films was a film called Beast from Haunted Cave. Has anyone seen that movie? I would like to see it. So, also worked on Gunsmoke. You familiar with the old TV show Gunsmoke? Had some spots on Gunsmoke, and then was well known for General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, for I think both of those for 10 to 20, 30 years, that had major roles on both of those TV shows, which I find interesting. There was about from what I've found, there's about a 10-year gap where those shows are running continuously. So I just start thinking of production schedule, and how was that possible to be working on both of those shows? How busy must have been. And then Legends from the Sky is the film that I know, but it's Mr. Chris Robinson. That's back here. So come forward. And Chris has been great. Chris is probably the best connection. things for me. So it's in appreciation of your acting distinction, encouragement, and vision to press on. Holt Hamilton Films honors Mr. Chris Robinson.
Yes, of course. If I could find my wisdom that you say I have, I gotta find it now. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work with this gentleman, and I don't think he has to wait for 12 films. I think the next one could be the one that takes him somewhere, because he has the talent, he has the writing ability, and he has the niceness as a human being to weave people together. And I think with careful thought and careful planning, the next film could be the one that takes him into major distribution in the world, not just in limited distribution, but he's going to have to work for that. And as I'm sitting back there, I'm thinking maybe it could be, and I haven't told you this, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but maybe to find the right story, we should go back prior to Christopher Columbus and find some Native American theme where many tribes are involved. The Anasazi, the Hohokam, into ancient, just an idea. I haven't said one word to you about it, have I? No, I haven't. Or to anybody else, because I just got this thought back there. And I'm not trying to take away from the present existing tribes today, but it just might be nice to go into ancient history. Anyway, I wish Holt Hamilton Productions the best, and it was an honor to work with him, and I enjoyed it immensely, and would definitely do it again. Thank you.
With something we're trying to do too is trying to find good causes that we can support, good programs out there that need extra help, and how can we, with our little film production company, how can we try to do good in the world and help others. But I was out in Peach Springs, out on the Wallapai Nation. There's a great community. Worked out there quite a few. We shot some of our Fried Bread movie out there, and worked on numerous jobs with the cultural department and things, and continue to work on things. But I was out there and we made a stop for a job. We stopped at the Boys and Girls Club to talk and find out some more information and stuff. We were going down to the Colorado River and needed some information, so we stopped. And of course, I'm always excited to see new places and look for new opportunities, just see what resources are there. Is this the Boys and Girls Club? This is, from the outside, it's a beautiful building. What's happening here? What's going on? And so I was able to go inside, and just being curious and maybe a tourist, I don't know, but asking, can I get a tour? I'd love to be able to see what's here and see, looks, because that, as a writer, that's how I work, is from a lot of times is locations that I've been to and visited. Then when I start working on a story, I can start thinking of, oh, this would be good. This would be good at, in the Peach Springs, the Boys and Girls Club to work this scene. And so I'm always trying to visualize and look for things like that. And so as I was getting a tour, went through the inside, went outside, a beautiful skate park. I thought it was brand new, but I guess it's been there as long as the building, so it's a few years. But I started wondering, there was kids there, and I was wondering, why isn't anybody out on the skate park? Skateboarding, I can't ride a skateboard, but I know, there are a lot of people that love skateboarding, and so I started to ask a few more questions, and that's when I found out, well, there's no kids out there because there's no skateboards. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe kind of a light went off. Maybe this is something we can try to do, is try to help find a few skateboards. I think we're trying to get a dozen skateboards or more, if we can do it, and trying to raise the funds. We have a GoFundMe campaign that's going on. I think we're a fifth, 20% of the way there, to raise the money to get some skateboards so that we can go out. And so I want to turn the time over to Nakia, who is the director, Youth Development Supervisor for the Boys and Girls Club from Peach Springs. So Nakia.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for having me. So just to give a little bit information, my background, and just some info about our Boys and Girls Club in Peach Springs. I myself was a club kid. I've been with Boys and Girls Club since I was 14 years old, and so I know the difference that having a Boys and Girls Club within your community makes, especially when you really take advantage of the programs and resources and get those supportive relationships and things like that. I mean, I could have been a typical stereotype, went down the wrong path. You know, I can relate to our kids because I myself haven't always had it easy. I come from a single parent household. My mom raised 14 kids by herself, and you know, she's lived in the same house for like the last 14 years, and all of us went through the same school district and all these things like that. And so, you know, when you're living in a household and you have all these people around you, you never feel that you have time to yourself. You're always like, I just don't have a space for myself. Everybody's around. And so I started attending the Boys and Girls Club, and there is where I really evolved, and I found myself, and you know, it's like, who am I and what do I want to do? What do I want to be? And by going to the club and working with the staff and things like that, I was really able to come into my own. I tell people all the time, I used to be a shy person. People don't believe me because I'm extremely talkative. I always have something to say. And they're like, oh my God, you were shy? And I'm like, yeah, so I started at the Boys and Girls Club. And so out in our res, we're really rural. The nearest town and store to us is 51 miles away. And so we are really the only organization within that radius who operates on a Monday through Friday schedule, breaks and things like that that serve our youth within our area. There's approximately about 300 youth on the res. We average about 45 to 60 of those kids daily. One of the main things that we really push within our kids is education. Education is incorporated into everything that we do. So we have 5 core program areas we focus on: education and career, sports, fitness, recreation, which is kind of where the skateboard program comes in. That I had met with our kids, and I typically meet with them at least once a week, and I said, you know, what is it that you guys want? Because I had noticed they're like looking out at the skate park and they're always over there, and you know, we only let the 8 and up go over every once in a while when we can, and they're like, well, we really want skateboards. And I was like, oh man, okay, you know, skateboards are really expensive, you know, and you're a nonprofit company, you can't just necessarily say, hey, I want to go and spend, you know, $1,500, $2,000 just to get some skateboards. That's not going to always go so well. And so when Travis came up and we were talking and things like that, that's how we kind of collaborated with one another. And our kids are extremely excited. They've been doing some additional fundraising opportunities so that they can try to get safety equipment.
Thank you everyone for coming, and we could definitely, there's so many of you that have done great things, have contributed much to Holt Hamilton Films, to where we are today and where we want to be. And so we hopefully we'll continue to have a 15th anniversary and look back of the things we were able to do in 2016. James.
Hey, I might be the only one that doesn't know, but I kind of wanted to have, what started Holt Hamilton Productions? Where did it all start? You just had a vision one day?
That's a good...
Arizona?
Heat stroke.
Well, I was actually looking, I guess the original is, and Rebecca's here too to correct me, it's been 14 years, so who knows, your memory goes, things change. And so I was in college, one of the 6 universities that 6 or 7 that I've attended.
What do you mean you were?
I still am. This is the beginning of the university college era. What was it, 90, 97, 90, I think 98. No, 98, 99. I was going to school, looking at, I was at the point as a college student, okay, my bank account is getting very low, I need to find another resource, another source of income. And so I went, got the newspaper, went through the want ads, and I came across something that somebody was looking for extras in a movie. And so they were looking, so I went and walked into this place. It was called Minority Casting. As this white guy walking into Minority Casting is just kind of fun. Walking in there and realizing that he wanted me to pay him to be my extras casting agent. I think it was like $200, $250. It was almost as much as I had in my bank account. And I said, let me think about this. I walked out like, I want to give him the rest of my money. And now I've learned that if somebody says that, you should run, because they should be getting you work, and that's how casting directors make money, is by getting you work, not. But I walked out and got in this old pickup truck that I had. I started to drive, and I had the feeling that I needed to go back in there. Just that real strong feeling that I need to go back in and sign up. I go, okay, I will follow that. And so I walked back in, signed up. I remember, I think, cutting a check right there, like, well, here goes the rest of our funds, or my funds at the time, and ended up a few weeks later I was an extra in a Disney film. I think it plays every Halloween, or it has for a long time. It's called Don't Look Under the Bed. Monsters under the bed kind of thing. If you've seen that, there's one scene for about 4 seconds. There's a guy wearing a bright orange shirt, super fast in the background, that runs across the screen. But that was me. But I remember falling in love with, like, this is chaos. Being there as an extra, watching this, and people yelling and running around, and all for this something like, everything kind of MacGyver, bubblegum, baling twine wire, holding up the equipment or whatever, but in whatever's in front of the camera, like that, capturing, like, oh, this is amazing, and just kind of like, this is insane. And then that was my first experience. I worked on that for one day. I made a few dollars, and then I got another call for an audition. So I auditioned on another project. I went out and auditioned, and I got a part in the film. And so then it was about a 3-week shoot, and had a part. I was there, one of the major actors in the movie, and I was able to realize how bad of an actor I am, but again was more interested and more curious of what was going on behind the camera. And so after the film was wrapped, I asked the director and producer if I could stay on and watch the editing process, and so I went and was able to do a little bit, learn a little bit of the editing process, and just really fell in love again with the commotion going on behind the camera. I realized the director of photography and one of the camera assistants, they were laughing about 3/4 of the way through and said, we haven't seen somebody bit by the film bug like you in a long time. Just that. Asking them what is this part on the camera, and probably annoying them looking back, but and so from that, it was after that experience, I'd had that experience making a film, and that was actually, Rebecca and I were married a few weeks or a few months, and I said, oh, let's watch this movie. She had no idea. It was in a movie, and she's like, what? So I figured if she watched it before, she might have ran off. And so that was kind of the beginning. That was kind of the beginning of us trying to do that. And that first film, it's called Shadow, and actually we have copies back there, The Shadow of Light. After that, it was months and months, like, when's the next audition, or how do you do this? And like, well, if nothing's coming on, I don't want to just sit around and not do this, just always wishing and hoping somebody else gives me an opportunity. And so I started film school. So I moved down to Arizona, went to Scottsdale Community College, and their film program, started going to school. Same time I got a job at kind of the main rental house called Real Men Rental House there in Phoenix, with all the big equipment. Any production coming in, commercial or whatever, usually was using that equipment. So I got my hands on the equipment. I started learning what the equipment was called, and went to film school. And during film school, I just felt like I was this horse in a horse race that people were not letting out of the gate. I just want to make a movie, and then I ended up getting deployed, got pulled out of film school. But when that happened, I had finished a screenwriting class with a man by the name of Jed Rosebrook. He wrote He wrote a film that was required for us to watch in 4th grade in Idaho. In Idaho history is a film called I Will Fight No More Forever, the Chief Joseph story. He wrote that, and it was kind of a switch, and Hollywood started to switch and tell more from a more, native perspective. So I thought it was very interesting that this teacher, he taught one semester at Scottsdale Community. That was the semester that I took his class, and I've been in touch with him ever since. He wrote Junior Bonner. I don't know if you've seen that. He wrote that film and a few others, but that so I had that class, and then all of a sudden the Iraq stuff happens, and I'm getting deployed, leaving Rebecca with Spencer. He wasn't even born yet. She was 5 months pregnant with him, and so I'm getting shipped overseas, and that was the tool I took with me of kind of escaping that experience was writing a first movie called Turquoise Rose. Wrote the majority of that when I was deployed. I came home and finished writing it, and then okay, we gotta get this made. A few years into trying to get it made and trying to find people to put up the funding, and kind of going through that standard traditional route of how to make a movie. Talked with lots of people that could have easily paid for the film, but everybody I went to said, who are you and what have you done? Well, I'm some little farm kid from southern Idaho, so I'm really much nobody, and I've never done anything. But can we have $100,000 to go make this movie? And looking back, like, oh yeah, I probably would have never said yes either. But so after a few years of that, it came down to a conversation that Rebecca and I had. Do we make this movie or not? We could spend the rest of our lives trying to raise the funds for this, and came down, do we go in debt on a house, or do we go in debt on making a movie? And thankfully Rebecca said, well, if you don't do it now, you probably never do it, so it's probably better now than later. And so we got a bunch of credit cards. I think I say 9, you say 11. 11 credit cards. Went and made that film and had a great experience, and that's still one of the films that we continue to share, and so that I guess that's kind of the start, maybe the long version of our start. And after Turquoise Rose, I remember sitting in an audience, maybe it was one of our first or second screenings, and somebody asking the question, "What's your next project?" What? We're supposed to have another project. Okay, I guess we better figure out how to make another film. And so we, turned around and made our next film, Blue Gap Boys, and made that one, I think, in less than a year from writing to having a finished film, and realized that's probably way too fast. And okay, maybe production value might have improved a little bit, but maybe story dropped quite a bit, and so just kind of been that. In the next film, what are we going to really focus in and try to practice and do a better job of, and try not to let the other spinning plates fall where trying to make that film. And so that's the process, and that's why I talk about 12 movies. It's just, I think each film we did this better on our first film than we did on our 5th film, but we did this better than we did on that, and so it's just kind of balancing all of those things. So it was a long-winded. Were you doing this? Just kidding. But it's kind of I wanted to have this just a chance to really thank everyone. I think I look around and everybody here I could thank in some way for helping us get to where we're at. And we're still realizing I have a long ways to go, and I just do it. It's not about me. It's not about Rebecca and I. It's not one person. It's not about our company. It's a community. It's people coming together and working together to make it happen. Because there is no way we could have made any of these films if it was just me or just Rebecca or the two of us. So thank you. Thank all of you that are here for the things that you've helped me learn, or the encouragement you've given and stuff. And this year, I want to end on 2 things. So this year we officially changed our name. We're still Holt Hamilton Productions. Now we're Holt Hamilton Films. Not a major thing, but it's kind of more of where our focus is making theatrical feature-length movies. It's kind of where we've thrown in the basket, thrown all our eggs in that basket. And okay, we're running with this. That's what we want to do. Is we want to make feature film for the world audience. And so that was one big thing. And then the second, just a few weeks ago, we had a new logo designed, which for me, it kind of, the one we had previously was, it was fine. We liked the trees, the pine trees, and there was a little sun or a moon. I couldn't figure out which was fine, but it never felt like this is who we are. This is what we're trying to do. And so with this logo, it for me really, I can look at that and it helps me to get motivated to like, no, it's time to get going on the next project, or time to make things happen. And of course, love the mountains, and some of you might recognize those. Of course, we artistic license, we changed it, added a couple little things, but just that. So that's our new logo, and anyway, kind of a fun year to. So lots of little steps and things have happened this year for us to kind of put this together and realize where we want to go, and realize that we don't want to go by ourselves, and we want to involve all of you and anyone else that's willing to come and work with us and has the same desire and the same dream and the same goals and the same harmony, if that's the right word, that wants to tell really to the point of telling. We want to tell good stories. We want to make great films. That's kind of where our vision is. And I want to end on, if you have a question, if that's is that the setting or a rising sun? It's a rising. It's a rising sun. So, but that's one of the.
And that's a harvest moon. A rising sun on a harvest moon.
I never even saw that. Thank you.
I did too. I thought that's what it was, a moon behind it.
I never even thought of that. So
you're a farmer.
My grandfather was. I pulled weeds. A few hours in the morning with him, and that's about as much fun as I did. So thank you all for coming. We do want to end with Isaiah Lee from White Mountain Apache here that's going to offer our prayer in Apache too, I believe.